Let's put the project side by side, front end and code, so we can compare both. Let's open back the VS Code. Let me shrink it a bit, leave it on the left side. I'll zoom in for you to see better. Let's start by looking at the folder structures we have here: mocks, components, assets, constants, hooks, and pages. Let's see some things that are already mocked here. If take a look on Lucas here, we see that he's not following anyone, no followers, but he has 3 posts. As we saw, no followers, but he has 3 posts. Inside posts, the id, user's name, created at an username. We also have the types of posts, which are quote and posts. So here, we also have users set, such as Arnold, Lucas, Reynaldo, and Donald. We have some users here. In assets we only have an icon. The components we'll be using in the project, we'll see better later. Constants for filtering, we'll use them here to change pages. Next file we have local storage too, already with types. TypeScript is good so we don't make mistakes. It becomes easier to integrate other people into the project. And the most important thing I think will be these hooks, the user auth. We're not logging in here, but it's already set up in case we need it. Use posts file. We can see here that this is the function where we'll make the fetch the posts. When we create the API call, we'll probably work in this file here. All the posts that the user can be making: create post, create repost, follow. Among others requests. The naming is very good, and you can see it from within this class. There's a create post, and if I go in there, it's probably set up in there to create new post. So, from here, we'll start working to call the API, but let's take a look at user info here too. It's the same thing. Get user by ID, get user follow, get who the user follows, get post by id. So the nomenclature is very good, and from the class you already know what it is doing. Let's take a look here inside the main page. So let's see how the structure is using styled components. We have add post, which is a component that creates this entire post here. The title that gets the name your feed. And the post list component is where we list all the posts within this component here. There's not much mystery, and component user modal, when we click it opens the modal. Let's look at the structure of each folder here. Let's first look at how the code is making GET requests to fetch the posts and users and displaying them on the front end. Which probably is this post list here. I'll maximize the screen. Press Ctrl, click on the function call, and it will open the file with the definition of that function. So here, we see that it was getting all of these functions there, and they were already sending filter mode and on profile click. Press Ctrl plus click again to open the posts list function. We can see that here it is already receiving the user auth and user post hooks, those 2 hooks we saw earlier. So from this, it can already get some user information to do the get of the user here in this function. Get who user follows. We get it by id and send it to the front end so it brings the logged in user. That would be it. Below is doing the same thing. He maps to do some checking. Go down a bit more. Here in these functions, they verify from the user id he had put up there. So we have the postcard here that sends all the user's information, the post that he made. Let's check. Here he makes a get of users post and filters to compare the user id that is inside with the id we have. And inside postcard, passing the functions and all this information of the user to the card. We go inside the card, we come into the component. Here he starts using the information that came from use auth. By the way, he's using it here too. He passed credentials username. Here he checks if there's an author. In text too, here if it is a post or a repost, it verifies if the created by id is equal to the id to create another post. So let's see now how he's doing to set up this. Let's go inside the use auth hook, which is getting the user, and here we can see that it's a hook. Let's go inside the get user logged in, Control click, and here is where all the magic happens. This here is where we'll be modifying basically the whole project to make API calls to Python REST. The get user logged in function, which will be the user logged in case we don't have a logged in user, we'll use get user by id, which can get the user with the id. Here he is sitting the user in local storage and then bringing it back to this and using it. Let's go to the Services section.